Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Every leader has a journey. And with the leaders speak, we are trying to get to know their journey, what are the hurdles they have faced, and how they're trying to overcome them. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Abeer Khedr. She's the CISO of large bank in Egypt, as well as she has previously served as a senior manager in IT in a big four. Thank you so much, Abeer, for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Vandana. Pleasure is mine. And actually, thank you for the series that you have started. I think it's very, very useful. I've watched a couple of episodes and I'm learning from them. So thank you for sharing it with the whole community.
Means a lot coming from you. To start off, I wanted to understand how does a daily function of a CISO looks like. I've been discussing the same with a lot of CISOs. Every CISO has a different perspective, and I'm sure you're working for a large bank, so your role is towards the financial sector is very, very important and considerate. So I wanted to understand from your perspective that how does a CISO role look like when we talk about a financial sector?
Yes. Well, a CISO, of course, at the end of the day, is a leader and leads multiple streams of work, multiple teams. So, in addition to being a leader, a core responsibility and a core competence of a CISO is that he or she must be a very good communicator. Okay, so and I here recall the famous, is very popular metaphor that I heard from our dear friend Fedra Kroene. She's the deputy director for Cybersecurity Center in Belgium. I think you may know her. She said a CISO is a rare bird and a Swiss knife. Okay, so a rare bird because communicates a lot. So it's one of the roles that where you do a lot of communication, not only with your teams, not only with business, but also with management, with external parties, whether they are business partners, whether they are audits, whether they are regulatory bodies. So you do a lot of communication throughout the day of your job. Another thing, she says, a Swiss knife. Yes, a Swiss knife because you have to think fast and you have to act fast, and managing the multiple streams of work means you really have to have clarity of thinking, and you have to be able to absorb all the briefings because in your daily routine you get a lot of briefings from the different teams. Actually, I do divide the briefings in two episodes during the day because sometimes when the early in the morning briefings, you need to do escalations based on that. You need to mobilize actions based on the briefings you receive from your teams. So when done early in the day, brings quicker results. And then there are the late end of day briefings where you delay the more strategic actions that you need to really think about, and you need to see how you're gonna lobby for them, or how you're going to proceed for the best way or the best course of action. So yes, so being a leader, a communicator, and a fast person to take action, and a decision maker as well. So also because decision making is another very, very important component of the job, because you are, the ultimate accountable person for cybersecurity in the organization. You may not, the CISO scope may differ from one organization to another. Some have operational security reporting to them, some not. Some have governance reporting to them, some not. So even if you have different scopes for that role, yet decision making is important, yet you are responsible even to coordinate with the related streams to cybersecurity, even the ones that don't report to you. You're ultimately responsible to communicate and coordinate with them regarding the entire posture of cybersecurity in the organization.
You totally rightly said that we need to communicate to a lot of teams, a lot of people. And there comes a point wherein we have to handle the board as well, because CISOs have started to speak a lot to the board, have started to get a seat on the board. So when it comes to the budget, it still needs a lot of preparation work. So can you give us one advice on how to handle the board, especially when it comes to getting a budget for security?
Yes. So as we started, we are in the financial sector here. Now, when I think about CISOs in consulting, in technology firms, they have a tougher job, unless, of course, that technology company is, like Apple or something that sees security as a differentiator for them. If they don't, then they have a tough job convincing boards about investing in security. However, luckily, in the financial sector, this is a very highly regulated industry. So you have a lot of regulatory requirements that boards are aware they must be implemented. And to implement them, of course, it needs some investment. And this makes your job of convincing them with necessary investments a bit easier than other industries where you don't have those regulatory requirements. And it would depend on the maturity of those organizations and how much there is appetite to invest in security. But in the financial sector, with the regulations, this makes it a bit easier. Of course, credibility is important. So boards and senior management would listen to you based on your track record of being credible. And that's, you don't have to come from, a very highly background of being a popular CISO or something. No, but you have to just consistently deliver on what you tell them you're going to deliver on in your strategy. If you do that, then you will achieve this credibility, and they will be more prepared to listen to you and to support you with your requests. Also, I think one little thing that helps, because my previous work in consulting, when you sell a service as a consultant, you study about your customer, right? You study some background about the customers. So I treat this, I apply this in my current role as well. So if I'm going to talk to the board, if I'm going to present them with a strategy or present them with certain requests, I study a bit about their backgrounds. And, this person has been serving in, for example, critical infrastructure. So he's interested in cyber threats related to that. This person is from regulatory side. He's interested in that. This person is from academia. So they're interested in algorithms and all that. So I do a bit of background study, so that I expect questions, and I expect they would be interested to learn in their field of background. So this helps establish, establish a certain rapport with the management team, with the board, that you are providing them with updates and briefings on their area of interest, in addition, of course, to the strategy that you are presenting to them. This, prepares them to listen to you, like the same like you do when you're selling a service as a consultant.
Right. You rightly said that you need to think strategically so that they can trust you. Trust is very, very important. Now, when they trust you and you are allowed a free hand to make one change in the organization, what would it be to make the life for all in the organization better?
Yes, so I faced this situation before. So I thought, and CISOs who work in not necessarily also financial industry, but in large organizations, they will understand what I'm trying to say here, that in large organizations, there are sometimes silos. Teams don't communicate as efficiently or as quickly as you have in smaller organizations. And that's by nature of being a large organization. So it's important here to set a governance structure that would allow the key people in key teams to communicate and not, as they say, not pour la forme, not that you have a committee, a change advisory board that meets regularly, and they have a checklist and they have a certain agenda that they just follow and approve. No, it's to effectively implement it, to have effective discussions during this committee that really encourages the discussion, encourages input from people, and encourages that they study a solution, or they study an idea from different angles. And this discussion, facilitates that the project or idea gets manifested properly and gets studied well, and appropriate decision taking is done quickly and rightfully at the same time. So I would advise for that governance structure, whether you call it a change advisory board that includes key people in the organization, key teams, or you call it an executive committee. It really, the naming is not important. It's the opportunity for the key people in the organization to meet regular basis and to have an effective discussion of ideas and projects.
Yeah, totally true in that. I think we have a lot to learn from you on that aspect. And I would totally want to know that for a new CISO or aspiring CISO like me, can you please share some of the advices from your experiences, which you have from over the years?
Yes, so again, it would depend a bit on the industry and the maturity of the organization, of course. But in the first month, I really don't advise you don't succumb to pressure at all. Sometimes when a new CISO is hired, everyone's expecting him, okay, tell us what to do, give us input in that, tell us if this needs to be changed. Don't succumb to pressure to give an opinion or to give a recommendation until you know in your first 2 weeks to 1 month that you study the organization very well, you study the pain points. So I always ask my employer in later in stage interviews, what are the pain points in security? What are the pain points related to technology in general that you really think you need me to address, or you need me to fix? And also get all the audit reports, get all the assessments that have been done, and spend time reading them and identifying key people in teams, because sometimes key people are not the heads in the organization, but there are the dynamic people in teams that are effectively doing work and supporting others. So you need to identify them, because they would be your first people to communicate with when you put forward a strategy. So spend the first month studying. Even, of course, you may not have the luxury really to stay for a whole month without without providing input, without doing activity or action towards the daily work. However, don't be pressured to do it. So just take your time to study it and provide feedback as necessary as you learn the environment around you and understand also the organizational dynamics. Okay. Then in the second 2 months, you can start putting things forward. So if you are in a company that has not yet started putting its governance framework, its policies are not mature, they may be written but they are not really effectively implemented, so you may start working on those initiatives. But at the end of the first 3 months, I think management would expect you to come up with a strategy if none was there before, or a revised one from your perspective if a strategy was already in place, and you may need to highlight what needs to be done, quick wins. You may be also required to present to the board if this is a financial sector, because you at least minimum you have to present to the board once a year. So you need to prepare for that very well. And at the end of the 3 months period, you are expected to do this, and hopefully you get the buy-in and start implementing on your strategy. previously there was this cliche sentence that, cybersecurity strategy has to align with the business strategy. So
Mm-hmm.
long time ago, I was wondering, yeah, how do we really effectively do that?
Mm-hmm.
But then I noticed that now across the years that
Mm-hmm.
uh, when you get and read the business strategy, there are
Right.
certain objectives. When you
Mm-hmm.
get them, you try to see how your team or how cybersecurity is going to help the organization achieve them. So they are
Right.
like, I reach out to, we have a strategy department here at the bank. I reach out to them and I try to understand all the objectives and then how we contribute to them. And I discuss with the strategy team. um, I discuss, does this initiative map correctly? Does it really satisfy the objective before presenting to the board? Because, you have to do this due diligence before you present for approval. So yes, working with a strategy team or a business team on understanding, not just, okay, I read it, so okay, I will put this initiative, it will match this objective. No, really understand it and really see how impactful what you're going to do is towards those objectives.
Yeah, you totally nailed the point, because I remember working for an organization, and then I was leading their IT security from India. They were always saying that let's align the strategies. But what strategies? Never ever defined it. Till the time you have a definition, how would you work towards that? Such a wonderful advice, Abeer. I have learned a lot personally from these things. And I'm sure strategies are the one thing that's very, very important to understand. If you don't have a strategy and you're just going with the flow, it is never going to work out. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Abe. It was wonderful speaking with you. And it's always a pleasure seeing you and speak to you.
Yes, yes, it's the pleasure is always mine, Vandana. I really admire your work and I admire how, active you are on different fronts. I like the way that you give back to your community, doing training and doing a lot of activities that I can hardly, follow. There are so many. So that's really awesome, and good luck in everything you do. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you. Means a lot to me.
Thank you so much.